So sometimes it's really important to diversify the hole size of the beads. I like the idea of creating something unusual and adding a larger hole size creates a different dimension when I'm making a necklace or whatever the client and I have talked about. It adds a totally new dimension. It adds a degree of difficulty as well, which sometimes when the glass is a colder, more difficult glass to work, it really adds to the outcome of the bead that's being produced. And it's often led by how the glass and the flame work together. And I'm the hand that holds them. At one stage earlier in my bead making time, I was very interested in having beads round and with what my sense of perfect was in those days. And having many beads now to look at, the ones that I'm particularly drawn to are the ones that have a uniqueness about them, that have a flat edge when it should have been round, have a slight wonkiness about it. And for me that reflects me. Reflects the wonkiness that is me, reflects the wonkiness that is everybody. And it reminds me of how society is encouraging us to be a particular way, and I think we're all busting out of that mould of what we've been told. The mould of what we've been told. I like that. We're busting out. So when I'm working the bead and the glass is telling me how it's going to work, and I just listen to it, keep going along with my idea, something that I've been talking about with the client, and they have decided that we want some beads to have a particular function, to look a little loose or fit over different materials that isn't necessarily for a necklace or a wire. So it's really important to be able to just create something that fits what the client is thinking and filter through my way of making. And often people are attracted to how my beads are just that slightly ununiform, and that really appeals to me. I like things that don't quite match. Yeah. This particular bead is a very large hole. You could probably even put it on your finger, but it won't be used for that. The client has a very specific idea of how she wants her necklace, because we are working on a necklace, how that will be. And it requires some larger hold beads. And so in the end, with each bead and its uniqueness, whether it be hole size or the colours or the combinations or the inclusions, each bead is quite unique and then becomes a small artwork, which is quite important. So how that bead's going to look. See, that bit just flew on all by itself. I didn't choose that one, it chose. Making the larger beads is a lot more time consuming. The constant keeping of the bead warm across all sides. Heating up enough glass to use around such a large diameter, because the larger I make it, the diameter increases quite significantly. And this one's got a very beautiful colour about it, and when it comes off the stick it's going to be a gorgeous colour, very dark colour. Making beads is somehow a really meditative kind of process. All of my attention is here. How to keep the bead warm, the overall outlook of how the bead will look in the end. I mean, apart from the fact that the bead pretty much decides for itself, which is kind of unusual, but it does. And most of my bead learning has been quite experimental. And I think that's a really important quality that's seen in how my beads look. And interestingly, I think there's a style that I have developed, and it really reflects the stages that I've been through in my bead making. So I can sometimes look at a bead and go, yeah, that bead, that one was, you know, from this time, and at that point I was, you know, just beginning on this journey of bead making, or the discovery of that particular idea. And yeah, and sometimes when I want to head back to that old style, that beginner quality is lost. And I guess it's a bit like trying to draw a drawing like a child draws. There's something very unique and beautiful about those beginning drawings and those stages of bead making. They have that very, you know, unperfect quality. And for me, it's what is perfect. Perfect is perfectly imperfect. Yeah. A bead can be very philosophical, you can see that now. I guess which is about artwork. Art is philosophical. And working with a person who has a particular idea of what they've got in mind, what colour combinations they've got in mind. Sometimes I've been really pushed and thinking, oh, I would never put those colours together. And I've been asked to put those colours together, and that's been really good. It's really stretched me out of my own box. That's really important. So I just give it a lot more texture before it goes into the kiln, and it has to go into the kiln because I'm using such large beads and I need them to be quite slow in their process of cooling, quite regular, and I guess in that way it's the same as cooling ceramics. When the process of firing clay has finished, it needs to have a very regulated temperature so that the product is sturdy afterwards and not at risk of fracturing. They certainly get mighty heavy after a while. And I think what's quite pleasing is sometimes when a bead comes out different than I had wanted, and I like the outcome, even though it isn't what I had planned. And then I just do one final check. Check that the surfaces are how I want them. So, time for the kiln.